a few seconds to make sure things are connected. There we go. Hey, happy Friday to you. Hope you've gone through and had yourself a great week. I know here in Northern Cali it's been mostly dry. We had some rain on Wednesday, and other than that, it's getting everything a chance to absorb and dry out. So, if you're new here, my name is David, and I talk about for those that are 50-ish and over. Got to guide you to create your own health and wellness plan for freedom through personal growth by working on your body, mind, and spirit, even if you've had little to no success before. You do that by making sure you do things you want to do and it's going to fit into your life. Therefore, you can make sure and get the results and the transformations of it. So, with that, since I talk about the body, mind, spirit, today's topic is body, mind, and spirit's interactions. Now, if I was asking what's the connection between body, mind, spirit, you can probably sit there and come up with one, especially with body. Excuse me. You've heard the body mind connection or the mind body connection. They all kind of work together. And some of the ways I always found the easiest, at least, to get the general idea is if you're sick, excuse me, sorry, or injured, for the most part, usually you're not necessarily thinking very well. Your focus isn't very good. You're not going to want to sit there and say study for an exam or go take an exam because most of your focus, if you will, is with that illness or injury. If you just say you've had an argument or you've had a loss of a job, loss of a relationship, a loved one, most of the time you're not necessarily up to doing something physically. Now, there are ways to physically to distract yourself or to burn off some of that negative energy. But for the most part, you're not overall doing it. And even if you had some really dark times, if you want to say like dark nights of the soul, really pondering, sometimes you're not up to necessarily doing anything physically or even mentally focusing. So they all kind of intertwine in together. And that's one of the reasons why I call this balancing the triad, because you're always working those together about how they're going to work back and forth. One day it's physically is the focus, another one's it's mental, another one's spiritual. All depends on what's going on in your life. And what came up for me is, I mean, I live and breathe this every day. And yet I still got myself sucked in the trap of just kind of not paying attention. I mentioned to you that I kind of hurt my shoulder on Saturday. So Sunday it wasn't all that great. And when I injured it, just playing a game, overuse. And it wasn't until Monday I think it was after I did my video, or it might have been before. I'm sitting there and going, man, did not have the drive, did not have the motivation to do anything, and had to ponder around. It's like, oh, wait a second. I know this injury, it hurts, it bothers me. I couldn't even reach over and touch my shoulder without pain. I'm not going to be able to work out the way I want to. And they're kind of dampened my mood, and therefore affected kind of everything else. And it was also when I went to go do my meditation, I was realizing how tired I was, and I go, with the shoulder, every time I moved during the night, I was basically waking up. I think we'll drink here because I got. So every time I tossed and turned during the night, I was waking up. I'd be on my back. I'd try to roll on one side, no shoulder, roll on the other side. I would wake up, and therefore it affected my sleep. So then I got sleep being affected, which affects my mood and affects our mood in general, affects your physical activity in general. And all these little things just kind of intertwined together. And it's like, oh yeah, got to remember, it's like, okay, one affects the other two. And that's why if you watch the symbol I have, it's basically a three-way yin-yang symbol. I don't know what else to describe it. But yeah, it's just realizing whatever you got going on in one area, it's going to affect the other two and vice versa. So there might be times you're going through a situation which you could label as physical, mental, or spiritual, but understand it's going to affect the other two. At least if you're aware of that, then you can probably take some steps to at least kind of mitigate it a little bit. At least if you're hurt, you're coming with an illness, you can say, okay, this is what's going on here. Okay, that's what's bothering me. So at least I understand why I'm having a hard time focusing, but maybe you can do something to focus a little better. Might be able to do something to a little actively, whatever I am. Hope you kind of get the gist of that, but just realize they all completely intertwine together. And mentioned at the beginning of the video here, if you were to sit there and think about it, yeah, you could probably come up with ways very easily about how they all intertwine together. But are you like me and sometimes don't really pay attention and let it go and kind of go past you? It's like, oh, yeah, that's what's going on. I'm affected in this quadrant, but the other two are also being affected. It's just something I kind of brought up because I live and breathe this all the time, and yet I got myself sidetracked by it and didn't really pay attention to it until I had a moment to pause. I go, yeah. So just realize everything you do carries over into every other aspect of your life. With body, It's fitness, nutrition, and rest. At least this is how I do them. And realize if any of those are affected, they're also going to affect the mind, which is the analytical, creative, and subconscious, which in turn affects your spirituality, personal, communal, and environmental. And there are times you're going to sit there and rely on those other ones to help booster up the others. So if you got an injury, like I had, it's like, okay, switch there to the mental, figure out what can I do to work around this injury? What can I do instead? And you might even go to the spiritual aspect. Maybe environment's a bit of higher power. Can I connect me? What can I do to give me some power to draw on? Let me get some focus. Let me get some healing. If you just had a fight with someone, you just had a loss of relationship, loss of job, loss of someone passed away. Okay, your emotions are going over. Can you possibly focus on the mind? Say, okay, what can I do right now to help me to handle the situation? Maybe it is physically going for a walk to give yourself some time to clear. And during that time, you can commune with nature. You can connect to yourself and go out. If you just working on, so, I mean, I think you're going to get the idea there, just realizing what kind of goes through and how they kind of drift and how one can help, the other two can help the other. All right. Hope you got that idea. Once I'm understanding a little more about how you can work on balance in your triad, in the description, find a link to my Facebook group with some free trainings in there. So good place for you to start, and always questions in there and different aspects you can work on. So that's what I got for you today. So have yourself a wonderful rest of your Friday. Have yourself a great weekend, and I will catch you on Monday. So take care and balancing to you.